Fair warning. We recognize that the Hogan Administrative Center occupies the land of the Ho-Chunk people. Please take a moment to celebrate and honor this ancestral Ho-Chunk land and the sacred lands of all Indigenous peoples. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Abraham?
Excused.
Ms. Baumann? Here. Ms. Berkedal? Here. Dr. Cooper-Stoll? Here. Dr. Garcia? Here. Dr. Jimenez?
Here.
Ms. Leahy? Here. Mr. Korberg?
Here.
Mr. Spivey?
Here.
A quorum of the Board of Education is present, so the regularly scheduled meeting of June 20th, 2022 is called to order. We will now have the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and face the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Move to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
Tonight's agenda has previously been distributed to the board with a motion by Mr. Korberg and a second by Mr. Spivey. We will move to approve the agenda as submitted unless there is a motion to amend. Is there a motion to amend? Hearing no motion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion has carried. We'll move on to the public speakers. It is the policy of the board to provide at its public meetings an opportunity for individuals to address the board. Comments about individual staff or personnel will not be allowed. Open meeting law prohibits the board from engaging in discussion or responding to matters not included on the agenda. All speakers are reminded that this same policy limits your time to speak to 5 minutes. This limit will be strictly enforced. If I could ask the superintendent to keep track of the time and to notify the speaker when the time is running out.
I will.
Thank you. You're also asked to give your name and the school district where you reside at the beginning of your time for the public record. Our first speaker for tonight is Jordan Hansen.
Good evening. I'm Jordan Hansen. I'm a band director at Logan Middle School, and I reside in the school district of La Crosse. When I graduated from Logan High School in 2011, I left to study education in Chicago. During my schooling, I knew that I always wanted to come back and be a teacher, and the best teacher possible in the school district of La Crosse, a place where teachers and community supported me in achieving my dreams. When I started looking for my first teaching job, La Crosse was the only place I looked. It was the district everyone wanted to be at. La Crosse was the nicest district to teach in, and it was almost expected that you had experience in a smaller district before you could even get an interview here. So that's exactly what I did. I remember when I finally got a call for an interview in La Crosse. I interviewed at Longfellow, Central, and Logan Middle School before I finally got a chance to come back and teach at the place I was a student. While attending Logan Middle School, I found my passion for both music and teaching. It was a dream come true to be able to be back here in the school that gave me so much, which is why it has been so difficult for me to now daily check for job postings in and out of education because the value I placed in my own work has been diminished. It has been made clear to me that the district does not value its staff as professionals, with continually dwindling benefits as money is dumped into new buildings and renovations for a new administrative center, yet somehow we are unable to locate a fraction of those funds to keep our salary at pace with inflation. We all struggled through virtual and hybrid schooling, taking time away from our family and friends to give our students what we needed, and we wanted to. That is not what pushed me away from teaching. We all knew it'd be hard, and we worked together for our students, and we pushed through. After making it through some of the roughest years of our careers, we have now been shown repeated and blatant disregard for the well-being of students and teachers that has been replaced by an importance of buildings and facades that has led to me to where I'm at now. We've been assured that there will only be staffing reductions through attrition, not cuts, as we move to consolidation. The district has claimed to continue hiring skilled staff. But with the direction the district is headed, The attrition you will be seeing will only be skilled staff looking to get out, and your new hires will be new teachers looking to get experience so they can get a job in a better district, a district where everyone wants to be, what La Crosse once was. I love the staff and students in the La Crosse School District, and I have the privilege of working with them every day. But with the current inflationary pay cut we are being offered, I, as well as many others behind me, will continue to search for a career in a place where both our skills and our dedication are adequately valued, appreciated, and compensated. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Krista Kaminsky.
Hello, Board of Education. My name is Krista Kaminsky, and I teach and I live in the La Crosse School District. I'm here to talk about the impact of the CPI inflationary wage cut and how it personally affects my family. 16 months ago, almost to the day, I delivered my son via an emergency C-section, and he was sent to American Family Children's Hospital, where he spent the first 4.5 weeks of his life, 3 of which were on a ventilator. We were then transferred back to La Crosse, where he remained in the NICU at Gunderson for 2 more weeks. In this time frame, we had almost $1 million in medical expenses, plus the cost of being in Madison, gas back and forth, and meals, and both my husband and I were there with our son in Madison. So all of our bills back home kept piling up. Because of the different things my son's endured, we have had to follow up with a number of specialists, which, as you can imagine, is not cheap. Because of our insurance and our out-of-pocket deductible and our out-of-pocket expenses that needs to be met before insurance kicks in. In the past 2 years of insurance, I've had to pay almost $20,000 out of my pocket. Each month, I pay Gunderson, but it never seems to be enough. We get calls saying we either need to pay more each month or they'll send us to collections. And we are almost ready to embark on a new insurance year starting July 1st. Do you know what that means for my family? Another $10,000 almost out of pocket. And guess what? My son still needs to see those specialists this year and have follow-up tests performed to make sure he is still doing okay. With not getting the full 4.7 CPI increase, this makes things stressful and hard on my family. Someone said to me, why don't you take advantage of the neighborhood family clinic? We cannot because of the specialists he needs to see and the tests he needs to have performed. Also, switching to my husband's insurance is not an option because guess what? He works in the district too. Where do we draw the line? I encourage you to look deeper and do better for our staff. If taking a 4.7 inflationary wage cut is your answer, not only from last year, but 2.7 from this year, and our insurance continues to be unaffordable for staff, we are going to continue to lose to our neighboring districts who are offering full CPI, as well as affordable assurance with deductibles and out-of-pockets. Trust me, I've looked into it. This should concern you because we are losing quality teachers who have a passion and a drive to serve students. La Crosse will turn into a stepping stone district for teachers who are wanting to get into those desired districts but need experience. And this district will turn into a revolving door, which will be detrimental to our students and our family. It does not provide stability or consistency, which, if anything, COVID has taught us is one of the #1 things our students and families need from us. So please do better for your students, as well as for your staff, as well as our students and our families. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Tom Fisher.
Hello, I'm Tom Fisher. I'm the building engineer at Southern Bluffs Elementary. I reside in the school district of Onalaska. I've been a custodian for over 13 years in the district, a building engineer for over 9. First, I do want to say, hey, I'm grateful for my job. It's a great job. I'm proud of the work that we do as custodians. I feel great appreciation from the staff and from the teachers in my building. I think we've really come together since COVID especially to work together on all these things. What I do want to address though is I do kind of want to let everybody know, what a custodian is in this district. You hear custodian, you think of a cleaner, vacuum, scrub the toilets, all that fun stuff, right? And while we do that, we do our best to keep the buildings looking as good as we can. In reality, the first thing we are in our buildings is the safety and security of our buildings. Every morning when I go through the buildings, the first thing on my mind is, unfortunately, the worst case scenario things. I'm going through the protocol. What am I doing in case something happens? How am I going to save lives? And it's a sad reality, but as we can see last month, it's the truth. I check all the doors throughout the day. I make sure that if there's anything on the buildings outside, I take care of that stuff. Because as my other fellow custodians and building engineers, that's my building, that's my staff, those are my kids, right? So the safety is number one for us. We work year-round. Sometimes people don't know that. Some people say, hey, what are you doing with your summer off? I say, I don't know what you're talking about. Right now, we're busy. We're washing every table, every desk, every chair in that building. We're extracting every carpet. We're stripping and re-waxing every floor. So that when September rolls around, our staff and our kids can come into a beautiful building, a welcoming building to start their year off. We mow, we weed eat, we water, occasionally we plant trees. In the winter, we make sure the sidewalks, parking lots, and playgrounds are safe for our kids, for our staff. If it snows overnight, we're in the building sometimes before 4 a.m., making sure that we can get it ready for everybody. We work virtually every day of the year, including weekends, so our buildings can be accessed by the public. Many of us also tabbed as mentors for our students. Countless custodians have been called upon to help out when a child could use a positive male figure in their life, and we're proud of that. We like doing that. But that is something that we do take very seriously. That's not on our job description. When COVID hit, it threw everyone for a loop. This especially goes for the custodians. We were in the buildings every day. We were in there so the nutrition staff could somehow feed all these kids that weren't at school, and they worked their tails off to do it, and I applaud them for that. That was fantastic. We spent all the time doing improvements in our buildings. We were painting, we were fixing things, we even installing water fountains and water bottle fillers for the kids, just for another safety aspect for us. We disinfected our entire building many times. We used the Clorox machines that we got, and they're handy machines, they're great machines, but I can tell you from experience, I don't care how many N95 masks you wear, spraying that disinfectant is hard on your lungs. When we planned for students to come back, we were in our buildings, we were doing as many things as we could do to stop the spread. We installed hand sanitizers, we hung plexiglass. We used our geometry skills to set up classrooms so that we could keep kids 6 feet apart from each other. We're not all that good at geometry. We set up new areas for classrooms. We made major overhauls to our breakfast and lunch accommodations. One thing that people don't realize on our end of it is how much more work we put in the summer to clean a carpet that was a classroom that doubles as a dining area. One thing that's been brought up to us is that we are paid pretty well compared to other districts in this area. And what I would say to that is that we are relied on way more than other custodians in these areas. Speaking with other custodians that have come to our district from other places, or just at conventions or anything, if they have a leaking toilet, if they have a ballast out, they call a contractor.
30 seconds remaining.
In our district, they call a building engineer. We save the district immeasurable amounts of money because we're not just custodians, we're plumbers, we're carpenters, we're electricians. We're worth 4.7%. We wear so many different hats on a given day that custodian's probably not an apt name for our job. When the CPI had years of only being around 1%, we were told we just couldn't do more. Your hands were tied. Now it's in your hands.
Thank you very much.
Show us we are worth 4.7%.
We will move on to the superintendent's consent agenda. The consent agenda is a mechanism used by the board to deal with routine business that must come before the body. At this time, I will ask to remove the HR approvals from the consent agenda, and we will vote on that separately. Are there any other items that the members want to remove from the consent agenda? Hearing none. All those, I need a motion in a second for that. Pardon me.
Move to approve the items on the superintendent's consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second by Dr. Cooper-Stoll? Okay. With a motion by Ms. Leahy and a second by Dr. Cooper-Stoll, the items on the superintendent consent agenda are approved as presented unless there is a motion to object. Is there a motion to object? Hearing none. Then we will vote separately on the HR approvals. Can I get a motion to approve the HR approvals as presented?
Moved.
Moved by Dr. Garcia. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Leahy. So all those in favor of the HR approvals, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Is there an abstention?
I'll abstain.
Thank you very much. So then the HR approvals are approved as presented. We will move on to the board consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the items on the board consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the items on the board consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. With a motion by Mr. Korberg and a second by Dr. Cooper-Stoll, we will approve the items on the board consent agenda as presented unless there is a motion to object. Is there a motion to object? Hearing none, then we will approve those items on the board consent agenda, and we will move on to the 2021-2022 budget amendment, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Engel.
Thank you, Dr. Jimenez. This is something that comes before the board every year when there are instances of monies moving between certain designations. The board is obligated to approve those through a budget amendment by law. And I will turn it over to Ms. Sprang, who will explain more.
Okay, so what you're looking for is any kind of impact on our fund balance, because these budget amendments have to do with federal funding where we budget the same thing for revenues as we do expenditures, and any additional funds or any movement between the function has no impact on the anticipated fund balance. That is for the general fund. With the special education fund, that would be the flow-through funds that would affect that. Capital projects fund would be a change according to the projects being closed out and those dollars going back into that fund. The community service fund would also be an additional revenue and expenditure, and those have to do with donations to the food pantries. So, any questions?
Is there any questions from the board members?
This does require a roll call vote by the board.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2021-22 budget amendment as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. So moved by Mr. Korberg and seconded by Ms. Leahy to approve the 2021-2022 budget amendment as presented. If there's no questions, then we will go ahead and move forward with a roll call vote.
Ms. Baumann? Ms. Bergdahl? Dr. Cooper-Stoll? Dr. Garcia?
Aye.
Ms. Leahy?
Aye.
Mr. Korberg?
Aye.
Mr. Spivey? Dr. Jimenez?
Aye. So we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, and that is the La Crosse Public Education Foundation report. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Engel.
We are so fortunate to have Ms. Nell Saunders-Scott here, the Executive Director of LPEF, and she's going to give us a year-end report. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Good evening, and thanks for the opportunity to share an update about La Crosse Public Education Foundation's activities this past school year and the calendar year for 2021. It's especially meaningful to do so in a room full of people who care passionately about the importance of public education. My predecessor, David Steffler, typically shared these updates around calendar year end, but it's been some time since his last update at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, and I'm eager to build connection with all of you, so I'm here in June. I joined LPF as executive director in January, and I have been so impressed by the deep community support and the effective partnership with district staff and administration that enable LPEF's work. LPEF is in its 33rd year of supporting enhanced educational experiences for students in the school district of La Crosse, and I'm honored to be a part of it. In the 2021 calendar year, LPEF facilitated nearly $300,000 in support for the school district of La Crosse. During this past school year, 39 Gold Star grants totaling over $83,000 were awarded to teachers, staff, and learning partners to enhance the educational opportunities and professional development available in the school district of La Crosse. These projects, probably written by some people in this room, improved representation in classroom libraries, sent students on transformative field trips, provided adaptive PE equipment, and supported the state-of-the-art planetarium upgrade at Central High School. LPEF is committed to continuing to grow the funding available for Gold Star grants, and our grants committee volunteers are regularly reviewing the Gold Star grants process for improvements. And as an aside, I've learned that the spots on our grants committee are coveted among board members and volunteers. It's incredibly inspiring to read the applications from the creative and engaged professionals working in our schools. And grants committee members leave those meetings inspired and grateful. Another significant way that LPEF leverages community support for schools and students is through random acts of kindness. Just before I joined the organization, staff, board members, and volunteers concluded a successful campaign to endow the Random Acts of Kindness Forever Fund. Community supporters have given $500,000 to this fund, and we anticipate, I'm choosing to think positively about market trajectories for now, that the first distribution from the fund will be made in 2023. This support means that year after year, each school will have funds to help students and families address acute needs that make it challenging for students to come to school ready to learn and participate fully in school activities. During the 2021 to 20 school year, this most recent past school year, we'll just say it that way, school staff have distributed over $32,000 in RAK funds to meet immediate needs of students and their families. 2021 was, LPEF was also a conduit for community support for a number of other projects, like reading tutors at Northside and Hamilton Elementary, refreshing the leveled books at Hinchin, an external grant from La Crosse Community Foundation for the Central Planetarium project, funding for the Central Locker Room remodel, and a theater projection system at Logan Middle. And lastly, LPEF has been honored to serve as the fiscal sponsor for the Solar on La Crosse Schools organization. I was just at their event prior to this meeting. They are an energetic group of community members who are making it possible for a second major solar installation in the district, this one on Northside Elementary, and it'll be completed this summer or fall, and it's just really exciting for our community and for the district. So like nearly every other organization, LPEF has seen a lot of change in the last year or two. In addition to the ED transition, our grants coordinator, Denise Vinovich, retired in April. We're in the process of hiring a part-time operations coordinator who will take on a mix of duties to help us meet our mission efficiently and effectively. And with our engaged board of directors and our small but mighty staff, I'm excited for what is to come. LPEF is committed to being a primary funding partner of the school district of La Crosse, and in order to do that well, connections with members of the board and others here tonight are really important. My door is open. I welcome conversation about opportunities to deepen LPEF's efforts to enhance learning opportunities for students in the school district of La Crosse and to promote community understanding and support for public education. Thanks for the chance to share an update, and I welcome any questions.
Any questions from the board members?
I don't really have a question. I want to make a comment. I was lucky enough to serve on the board for 6 years, my first 6 years on the school board, and the Gold Star grants continues to grow, and I know what it's like to be a board member, and it's a lot of work for that, to do the grants, but it is a pleasure to see all the good things being done and all the creative things our teachers, staff, and our students propose and that we're able to fund. The Random Acts of Kindness Forever Fund is definitely needed, and it's great to know that is going to always be there now versus always having to raise money for it annually every year. And then, as you mentioned, the Solar on Our Schools project, which I was able to go to as well. And they announced there that Summit and Polytechnic will also be getting solar panels money you all raised privately and through their organization. And it's a great partnership that we have a foundation that we're allowed, people in the community are allowed to use the foundation to do that. So I want to thank you and the staff. Thank Ms. Baumann for your work on the board, and if there's anything you need, let us know, because we are very, very appreciative of what the foundation does for our district.
Thank you very much.
Any questions or comments from the board members?
I think he said it well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll move on to the announcements, and we'll turn it over to Ms. Baumann.
I have none today.
Mr. Corbrick stole your thunder, I think. But I also have no announcements either. Superintendent Engel?
I have none listed other than to recognize the incredible job Mr. Spivey did on Juneteenth this Saturday. There was another celebration. There's another celebration on Sunday as well that some folks were able to attend as well. So great opportunities in our community to learn more and celebrate the abolition of slavery. So, thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to agenda planning.
I'll make a motion to approve the July 18th, 2022 Board of Education agenda with any additions or corrections.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Corberg and seconded by Mr. Spivey to approve the July 18th, 2022 Board of Education agenda with any additions or corrections. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion has carried. We will defer the debriefing for this evening, and we will adjourn. So thank you very much, everybody. And we will have our workshop upstairs in room 209.